my loves, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so. And don't forget to press that notification bell so you can get weekly updates on all of my delicious recipes. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share. Let everybody know, your friends and family, that Jackie's cooking. So my loves, today we are going to make a delicious pork loin that's going to be so tasty, so delicious, so moist, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So right here we have a delicious pork loin. My mother gave this to me, so I said, let me finally, cook this. Okay, I already washed it, already cleaned it. All right, we have some onion powder. We have some fresh garlic, some sazon in the packets. I have some spicy mustard. I have black pepper. I have some dried cilantro. I have some creole seasoning. I also have some Old Bay seasoning. Old Bay doesn't only have to be for seafood, guys. And I also have this mojo marinade, okay, which you could find in the international section of your supermarket. We also have some celery, some basil, some red pepper flakes, and some chicken bouillon powder. And also you're gonna need one of these little gadgets, guys, which is a meat thermometer. If you don't have it, no worries. All right, my loves, so I am going to use my pestle and mortar, and I am going to crush some nice fresh garlic. I am going to mix my spices and everything in my pestle and mortar. As you can see, I chopped pounded my garlic a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna pound that garlic with my pestle and mortar. My brother got this for me when he came from the Dominican Republic. Okay, and now we have our delicious pork loin, which is already cleaned. I cleaned it with vinegar and lemon. Okay, don't just take it out of the wrapper and just stick it in the oven. Okay, that's not cute. And I already told y'all, people will talk about you. Okay, so now, my loves, we are going to start getting our flavors together. So I'm gonna add my mojo marinade. This is very citrusy and has other spices in it, and it's a great marinade. Okay, and it really goes good with pork. Okay, so I'm adding that in the pestle and mortar. So I'm making somewhat like a paste like. Okay, now I'm going to add my creole seasoning. And loves, the ingredients are listed in the description box below. Okay, now I'm adding my Old Bay. A lot of times people think Old Bay just has to be for seafood. No, baby. You could add Old Bay and chicken. Listen, don't limit yourself when it comes to cooking. Okay, never limit yourself. All right? We are now going to add some black pepper, plenty of black pepper. These little pestles and mortars are so good. They're old school. I mean, if you're from a Haitian or Spanish country, you'll know, especially in the Caribbean, you'll know what this is, okay? So, my family still uses it, but, I love it. All right, so, I'm adding my sazon packet. So I'm putting my pork loin on a tray, and I have some aluminum around it because I'm going to let it marinate for a little bit. So now I'm going to use some dried cilantro. And now we're going to add some spicy mustard. Mustard is really good to cook with. So good to cook with. It really penetrates well. It adds that acidity that we need, and it just coats very well. It penetrates into the meats very well. So it's a very good thing to use when you're seasoning meats as well. Okay, as you can see the consistency of this. So now, my loves, I'm going to make some slits and holes in my meat. My loves, the other ingredients like the dried basil, the bouillon seasoning, the red pepper flakes, you could put them in the pestle and mortar now. As you'll see later on, I added it later on because I had forgot to put it in the paste itself. But at this point, you could add those in too, okay? Now, as you can see, I had made some slits in my pork loin, and the reason for that is because I'm going to stuff some of that mixture into those slits because I want that flavor to penetrate into this meat with all that delicious seasoning, all that beautiful garlic. And pork loin is something, you gotta really be careful when you're cooking, because if you gotta cook it at a temperature, the food, according to food protection, when you're working with pork, especially in chickens and all that, each of them have their own certain internal temperature as to how long they should cook and as to what is the precise temperature for them. So with pork, it's at 145 degrees. Okay, so that gadget that I showed you, which is the meat thermometer, when we insert it in there, we're looking for a temperature of 145, okay, for a pork. And the thing is, you don't want to overcook the pork, because baby, if you do, it's going to be tough, it's going to be dry. Pork loin is a little shady, so you gotta really know how to work it, okay? And you gotta season it. You can't be afraid to season it, okay? To ensure that it has beautiful flavor, okay? Because pork has its own flavor, okay? Sometimes you may not need as many seasonings when it comes to pork because you can mask the pork flavor. Okay, so sometimes you don't want to overdo it with the seasonings when it comes to the pork. Because of course pork has its own distinctive flavor, and sometimes too many seasonings could take away from the integrity and the flavor of the pork. Okay? So as you can see, I'm just putting those seasonings, that paste with the garlic and everything like that in the slits. Okay? With this, I am a garlic lover. I don't know how anybody don't like garlic. Okay, the smell of garlic, especially when it hits oil, is amazing. Okay? All right, so now I flipped it over, and I'm gonna make some slits back here too on its underside, and then we are gonna fill those slits too with some of that beautiful seasoning paste that I made. And the thing too, my loves, that you have to understand is that, again, pork, especially a pork loin, don't be afraid to season it. Okay? Do not be afraid to season it. Don't overkill it with so many different seasonings. I mean, this might look like overkill, but at the same time, with the acidity and stuff, it does complement the meat. But, I mean, shoot, you could do whatever you want to do. Okay? Who am I? But the point is that, you know, it also depends on you. If you don't want to miss out on the flavor of the pork, you could season it over. Listen, just season and have a good time. But anyway, as you can see, my loves, we are seasoning this. Now we're rubbing all of the beautiful seasoning around and on this beautiful pork loin. I'm just going in there. My hands are nice and clean. And I'm just ensuring that my pork loin is nice and seasoned. We put them slits in there. We got some of that flavor in the pork. Now we're coating outside the pork. That's a nice piece of pork. Okay, so now I'm going to let this marinate. I allowed it to marinate for at least about 5 hours, okay? At least a minimum of 2 hours, at least, okay? If you just want to put it on straight, fine, but I just did it because I wanted the flavors to penetrate. So I would really recommend to marinate it for at least a minimum of 2 hours. All right, so we took it out, okay, and I had it on my pan, and now I'm going to use my celery. And what I'm going to do with this beautiful celery, if you notice in a lot of my videos, I use celery a lot because I learned to appreciate the flavor that it lends. I'm going to use it as a bed for the pork. Not only is it going to keep the pork from, you know, just soaking in the juices, but it's going to contribute flavor. It's going to contribute so much flavor for our pork. So we're treating this with lots of love, so delicately. All right, and I had already put on my red pepper flakes and all that other good stuff. All right, so now I am going to stick this in my oven. I started this off at 425 degrees for at least about 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to bring it down to 350 degrees. Okay, and when I took it out, as you can see, I noticed that it needed some more juice. So I said, hell, let me take some wine, and use some wine. Why not? If you don't have wine or you don't drink, you could use beef broth, pork broth, chicken broth, or simply water. Okay, and that's just to keep it moist. Okay, so we're going to cook this pork loin. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to cook this for at least an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay, but depending on how many pounds you have, you don't want to overcook it. Because, baby, if you overcook it, the girl's going to be quite tough, and it's going to be dry, and we don't want that. All right, so now I'm taking some of these beautiful juices and I am basting the pork. And now, not only that, but I'm going to remove some of these juices because what I want to do, I want to take this and I'm going to reduce some of this, these juices. I'm going to add some honey to it, reduce it by somewhat 3/4 or a half, okay, on the stove, and I'm going to use that as a beautiful glaze. Okay? If you don't want to use honey, what you could do, you could just take the sauce, reduce it in a pot, add some butter, and it's gonna make it nice and velvety, and you could use it as a nice dipping sauce for your pork. Okay, so this sauce that I'm making, not only am I going to use it to, excuse me guys, that you could use it to base, but you could also use it as a dipping sauce as well. Okay, and the amount of honey you want to add is all according to you, okay? So as you can see, you see all that beautiful garlic, all those flavors, okay? So I'm taking that and I just mixed some honey in there. And I'm going to reduce this sauce by at least half. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to then take this and I'm going to baste my beautiful pork with this sauce. It's going to make it look nice and shiny and glossy, and that mixture with that little bit of sweetness into the pork. Oh my God, you know, baby, it's a party up in here. As you can see, this is our sauce. We're just reducing it, and it has reduced, and as you can see, there's some texture to our sauce. Okay, and now we are going to take this beautiful sauce and we're just going to continue to reduce it, and after we reduce it, we're going to glaze our beautiful pork with it. And again, you don't have to use the honey. If you want to add some butter to make it a little bit more velvety, you can. Okay, so now let's take it off and we are going to put it on our beautiful pork, baby. Yes, indeed. Okay, I'm just pouring it. Okay, look at that beautiful sauce that we're putting on our pork, and we're gonna stick that bad boy right in. All right, so we're taking it out now. It's been about an hour and a half. Okay, and as you can see, I'm inserting my meat thermometer in the thickest part of the meat towards the center, and actually it's a little bit over 145, but it's fine. Okay, we just don't want it to go crazy. Like, I mean, if it goes up to 160, I prefer it at 145, no more than 150, because I don't want this bad boy to dry out. Okay, but look at the beautiful crusting, and what we're going to do now is that we are going to create a little tent, and we're going to let this rest. Do not get crazy and cut into this meat, because what's going to happen is you're going to have all those juices seeping out, and by letting it rest for at least a good 15-20 minutes, you'll allow the juices to get themselves in place in the meat. Okay, so don't go crazy and be quick to cut into the meat, okay? Because you don't want to have dry pork. Okay, lightly tent it, and then we'll come back and we'll take it from there. Okay, and my loves, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. As you can see, look at our beautiful meat. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share. All right, now we're going to cut into this beautiful pork, and I'm going to show you how juicy it is. Okay, look at all those beautiful flavors, and if you could look closely, you'll see the pockets where the garlic is. Okay, so we're slicing this baby up. Okay, isn't that beautiful? You see all that nice shine? I'm gonna taste this too. Look how nice and juicy that is. See that? And baby, it's so good. So, so, so good. I guarantee if you follow this recipe, listen, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Okay? And this is our beautiful presentation of our beautiful pork loin, darling. Look at that. You see the nice honey glaze? You see how it made it nice and glossy and looks so moist? This is life. My loves, I want you to cook this pork loin. Take some of that beautiful juice and gently glaze and graze it over our beautiful meat. Enjoy it, my loves. Eat healthy, be healthy, live life, love one another. See you soon.